Good morning, Hit Nation, folks, folkats, and everything in between and beyond. My name is Roy, the only host in the history of the internet, as far as I'm concerned, is fully and wholeheartedly admits that he has no idea what he's talking about, but he tries. Here with the PennyQuickies, the post game against the Atlanta Hawks yesterday, and then, of course, the pregame today against the Houston Rockets. So obviously, if we had, this is a back-to-back that we had to win one game. That game was the game of yesterday, but I put the game of yesterday as a neutral one, in terms of this is exactly the matchup against the Heat, right? And we kind of saw it, even though the Hawks did lead for, I think, majority of the game. There were, I think, 9 lead changes, a few ties. The game ended up being close in the fourth when we cut the lead down to only 1. But the truth is that we just didn't do enough. But if I had to go, I looked at people criticizing and saying, again, Bam is trash. Not. Duncan Robinson is trash. He's not. Hero needs help. I guess everybody needs help, right? When the main and most important thing here is that I don't see how this team can be competitive with the current situation, right? I didn't think they could be competitive last season, and when it seemed like they would get things together, people got injured, and the game dynamics changed completely. We had a horrible December. If you remember last season, it was a horrible December after a very decent November. Again, the 7-game losing streak happened in December. It was a horrible month. We kind of started getting our footing back and then kind of started playing a little bit better. But again, injuries and injuries and injuries. And when Rozier came, we again were injured. And so we never really could, we could never really test how Rozier would have worked out with us. Yesterday, for example, I bet that Trey would not get more than 11.5 assists, and he got 15, if I'm not mistaken. And I should have thought about that. We actually guarded him well, as we normally do, and he has matured a lot into the league, as Eric Reed said repetitively throughout the game, to the point where he doesn't need to be the one scoring, and that's a very important part. As long as you have other people that are able to execute, and we did have other people that were able to execute. Jovic defending horribly in the perimeter is obviously responsible for some of our trouble, but if I'm not mistaken, I think he fouled 3 shots twice, and at least one of them, the guy didn't convert the fourth point. So it's not, I didn't think that this game stood out as a game that anyone is particularly trash. We can certainly say that Bam gave me exactly what I wanted, which is about 12 points. I don't have the box score right now in front of me. I'm doing this out of remembering the game, out of understanding that Hero, thank God, he went on to, because I bet on Hero as well, 24.5. I mean, over 23.5 points, and he got to 28 or 24.5 points. He got to 28. But again, right, Bam down the stretch, passing the ball when I think he should have been able to be more aggressive. I think he would have gotten to the line more than once, because I actually put that he was going to score more than 3 free throws, and he only got 1 because he only had 1. It's not that he had 1 of 2. No, he only had 1 free throw. It was an and 1. And so obviously those are the things that kind of annoy us, because in these little betting trends, you can actually see where the best of the team is. And I think Khalil Ware, again, right, may not have been a breakout game, but it was a good game by him. Jaime Jaquez starting. When I mentioned that one game before Jaime Jaquez started, it was a joke. But again, I think that you can at least see him trying more starting with the lineup, if that makes any sense. But it's the same thing. He hit that sophomore wall. We were afraid, and when I say we, say Raf and I, we're afraid that this was going to happen, and it happened. And again, is that okay that we lost? Of course not. I'm a fan of teams that unfortunately don't win easily, but at least the Miami Heat, is a great source of pride. Corinthians is a great source of pride. Unfortunately, I can't say the same thing about the Dolphins, because those are the only three teams that I really root for as it pertains to generally rooting for. I try to root for Corinthians basketball, but it's very difficult. This is for soccer. NFL is, in my opinion, a ridiculous game, and I still like it. And, basketball. And so here we go with the Miami Heat. Being an average team, it's frustrating, and honestly, it's definitely, as Andy Nichols put it, dispiriting. I don't disagree with those concepts, but I guess my expectations are very low, and because of my adjusted expectations, I'm able not to get angry at a loss that does not come out of either a blowout or a humiliating 22-point lead wipeout. So just like against the Thunder, right? In the case of the Thunder, they have the better team, and it really didn't look like they were that much better than us. The Nuggets always look like they're that much. I mean, they have been for the past few years. They have been looking like they're that much better than us. The Thunder didn't. And certainly the Hawks are not that much better than us, but, better execution, better strategy. We didn't have Jimmy Butler. That's a game where a person like Jimmy Butler, when he's just contributing, that would have made a huge difference to the team, especially because that would have meant less Jaime Jaquez on the floor. And again, if you're going to play Jaime Jaquez and Jaime Jaquez is not giving you the best night, then you put more of Pelle Larsson. This is not a year to be afraid, in my opinion, of course, of burning, quote unquote, the rookies, but of letting the rookies actually play. This is what, look, yesterday when I made two mistakes. One mistake is calling the Heisman Trophy because I have recently played a game of South Park, and that actually was an achievement. I don't even call them trophies because I have an Xbox. I call them achievements, but still, the Heisenberg thing, Breaking Bad, I don't know what, snuck into my mind, and I don't watch college football. I do not watch college football. So for me to be ignorant of the Heisman Trophy is completely perfectly fine as it pertains to what I'm trying to do here. And the second mistake was not mentioning that what happens if Jimmy Butler, by the way, there was a statement, right, from the Heat front office saying, from 5 Reasons Sports, sorry, not from the Heat front office, from 5 Reasons Sports, I trust their sources more than I trust anyone's. Of course, you have Barry Jackson. You do have Anthony Chiang. Those are people that do know what they're talking about because they also have sources within the Miami Heat organization. It's just the rest of the national media doesn't. And I think that the 5 on the floor have the best sources. They're not always going to be right because they have the sources within the Heat. They don't necessarily have the sources within the Butler camp. That's a different situation. But what they did put out is that there are no signs of a standoff. Butler was indeed sick. We know that he got IV bags because 5 Reasons already commented on that. He was indeed sick. He is looking forward to playing with the game with Miami on December 1st when they come back home. This is the last game on the road for this particular stretch right now. And then what? We play the Pelicans, we play the Pacers, we play the Jazz, we play Golden State is in the near future as well. So, it's definitely not an easy stretch, but there haven't been easy stretches. And honestly, to a team that's average like us and unpredictable like us, there are no easy stretches. But I do think that what happens if, so they said, okay, there is no standoff. He was sick. He's looking forward to coming back to the team. There are no conflicts right now, and there are no offers. Were there any offers? Trust me, Shams would be the first one to break it to you, just like Woj, or like I called him, Waj, would. As far as what if that wasn't the case, right? Which is where I was yesterday before reading that tweet. What if that wasn't the case? What if the case was that Jimmy Butler was being standoffish and didn't want to play and started to create a certain level of, I just don't want to be in this team. In this particular season, that we're not looking, and that's one thing that I just really wish that Heat fans understood more clearly, as opposed to, again, you throw your expectations and you hope that they stick. That's fine. But understand, those are your expectations. There was no indication coming off of this offseason that this was going to be a good season. Everything indicated that this was going to be a season to pay attention to the rookies and see what they can provide, if at all, for next season. If you are in a win now mode, yeah, you're going to want to move a lot of pieces from that team to try to get you the right pieces, right? But that doesn't necessarily mean that we're gonna have again. Several people have mentioned our fumbles, and I myself agree. We fumbled by asset mismanagement. We fumbled because we were ultimately fleeced when we got Oladipo. We fumbled because we could not get Lillard. The truth is that nowadays we can say our package was better, but it didn't look like that at the time. Just better because of Hero. Having Hero on your team nowadays, with his skill level and the way that the way that he definitely has an all-star campaign. Having Hero on your team is an asset that the Trailblazers probably, if they could see a guy that is scoring almost 25 points a game, that's more or less where he is right now, would benefit them. Maybe that would have moved the needle. I don't know, but definitely there's some bad blood. There's some unwillingness to negotiate with the Heat organization. So there's not just a fumble, but also the fact that there has that there is a history there of things that I myself am not sure why, but they don't deal well with the Heat organization. So we definitely fumbled in a couple of things. Excuse me. I myself don't think that Kyrie would have been a good fit with the Miami Heat. That's what Butler wanted. Don't think that it would have been necessarily a bad fit. I certainly would have been for it if it happened. But Kyrie and Jimmy Butler, Miami Heat is already dealing with Jimmy Butler. Dealing with a Kyrie would have been a very difficult situation. And you have to understand, the controversy of what Kyrie did can be taken lightly by a lot of people, but it's not going to be taken lightly by a lot of other people from the Jewish community. It's not. So I'm just telling you, no matter what you think and no matter what you believe, unfortunately or fortunately, I don't know, there are people who are going to not want to see a player play because of certain things that he did. As minor and insignificant they may seem for you, Not my case. I wouldn't have minded having Kyrie. I just didn't think it was a good fit. I am not a fan of KD. I don't like him. Of course, not talking as a basketball player. But I also don't know him, so I don't like what image I have of him, right? I don't know KD, and I bet he wouldn't like me either. So, but again, wouldn't mind having him on the team. I wouldn't mind having another superstar on the team. That's not it. I just don't think that those were superstars that necessarily got the Heat excited. Aaron Fox gets the Heat excited with good reason. I do think Aaron Fox is a great player and could provide a lot to a team with the disciplinary structure that the Miami Heat has. On the other hand, obviously, we don't know what's going to happen. And because we don't know what's going to happen right now, everything is up in the air. I don't have any expectations. We lose against Atlanta Hawks. That's not a bad thing for me, as much as it is having lost in the way that we lost to Detroit, having lost to the Raptors once, and having lost to the Magic twice. The way that we lost to the Magic, even that first game. When we are playing against the Magic, even though we are a tier below them, it cannot seem like we are playing against, the Nuggets. Just can't. It's not a realistic, not something that I would be pleased with. Other than that, the only thing that I can say is, what are my expectations today? So, okay, Butler is out, of course. Jay Rich is probably not going to wear the Miami Heat jersey again. If I had to bet, I don't know what kind of lineup Spo is going to get. I don't know if it's going to go with, for the fourth consecutive time with the same lineup. We are obviously the underdogs in this game. Not only are we playing away, we're playing against a 21-10 Rockets, third in the Western Conference. We dropped to 7th in the Eastern Conference, meaning we got to the play-ins in a conference where there are 5 teams separated by half or 1 point. So, Obviously, I'm not expecting us to win. This is a game to lose for sure. This is what it's again. For me, there is only one scheduled loss, and that's against the Nuggets. But every other team that's on top there, Thunder, Memphis, Rockets, Celtics, Cavaliers, and so forth, they are teams that I consider games that I consider games to lose. Meaning, this is a game to lose. I am expecting us to lose. I would hope to be wrong, and that's all I can say about that. I don't know if any significant injuries for the Houston, meaning I didn't read the report. I just came here. This is kind of, I could have done this yesterday, but I was just too mentally tired to do it, and I think that this is something I want to do, so I'm going to continue doing. This is what I have to say. Yesterday was a mediocre game. It wasn't a game that stood out because of anything other than perhaps Bam's lack of aggressiveness, perhaps our lack of ability of defending the perimeter efficiently at some stretches, but also not making the right shots, not making wide open shots, honestly, even if they were three. Yeah, and I guess that's what kind of gave at least Rozier and Bam a little bit of free range when it comes to shooting mid-ranges, because that's, a little bit of Bam's bread and butter last season, and that seems to pay off. But again, Bam not being aggressive when he's efficient, of course it's a bummer. It's not a bum. It's a bummer. No, Bam is, I don't know about the no ceiling nickname, but he's our defensive anchor, and if any person that has any love for this organization does not want this organization to lose any kind of identity that they have, Bam embodies that identity. Should stay with the team. I would also keep Hero around. If right now it became kind of obvious that if there is any asset that is tradable, it is Jimmy Butler. Unfortunately, as much as it is, because again, Jimmy Butler gave us a lot. We gave him a lot, but he gave us a lot. As fans, we are thankful to Jimmy Butler. We should be thankful to Jimmy Butler. But in any case, that's it. Stay safe, stay dry, stay as happy as possible in this complicated world of ours. Let's go Heat.